And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bubba and the Bloom, episode 308. Going to continue our positional previews for the 2026 fantasy baseball season, heading to shortstop, which is an interesting position compared to years past, which we will definitely talk about throughout the show. We'll do some housekeeping and much more. But before we get to that, you can find me on Twitter at BDintric, the podcast at Bubba Bloom Pod, on Patreon at patreon.com/Bubba Bloom, and my co-host, as always, on Twitter at RyanBHQ, Ryan Bloomfield. How we doing, my friend?
We're good, man. Yeah, interesting is definitely a good way to put shortstop. That's why I like doing that. I mean, we do all these drafts and you kind of make all these decisions like player versus player. And I speaking for myself, I don't do a whole lot of kind of step back look at the position as a whole until we start doing these previews. So it's very helpful selfishly to me to kind of get that macro level. And yeah, shortstop is not actually what I expected it to be entering this show or entering my prep for this position. So we'll get to there, but yeah, I'm doing good. I'm hanging in there.
Good. That's good. Doesn't sound great, but okay, hanging in there. Good to hear. Let's do the housekeeping first here. Let's talk listener leagues. Just to remind everybody, eventually we won't be talking about these because they'll be full. We're rounding into form. More signups keep coming in. Want to remind everybody to be in the listener leagues. They are 15-team auction leagues,
Yep.
$50 auction leagues. First, second, and third get paid out in each league. But we're pretty much doing just 10 leagues again this year. So 150 participants, 148, not counting myself and Ryan, will be in these drafts. In order to be in them, you have to be a Patreon member. If you are paid, you get priority. You get a spot. If you're a free Patreon member, you fill in the gaps if there's any openings at the end. That's how this one goes. So that's and we prefer you give us a 5-star rating at Apple, Spotify, any of those listening platforms. That's the gist of it, though. So you have to be a Patreon member, give us a review, gets you in the leagues to get that situated. And Ryan, how will they decide their drafts they're in?
But via a survey that I will send out to the Patreon. So you need to be signed up for the Patreon. You'll get an email that the survey has been sent out. You fill it out. We're finalizing the dates right now. So these will all be kind of late February. Auctions will typically be at night, especially during a week, of course, and they last about 4 hours. So just kind of keep that in your mind when you're picking which slots you want. But yeah, this is almost last call, and then you won't hear from us too much more about listener league signups at the front of every show. But almost full, so we just want to kind of get those last league or two filled, and we'll be good to go, and you'll stop hearing us yap about it. But the reason we do yap about it so much is we enjoy the hell out of the listener leagues, and the actual people playing in the listener leagues really do too. There's not many chances you get to be able to actually do a full auction, especially at a relatively low price point, especially for the NFBC at $50. It's just a nice way to kind of get your foot in the door. If you're new to NFBC, we've had a lot of listeners say that this is their second time playing in NFBC, and then they stick around and keep doing it. So that's kind of the ethos of doing these listener leagues. They're a ton of fun, and honestly, Bubba, neither me or you are actually good at them, so you guys can beat us and talk trash that way too.
Yeah, because the listener league in the Discord has their own channel that has lots of trash talking. Ryan puts together a weekly article talking about the standings,
all season,
moving and shaking all season on the Patreon, which is always great. And it's very rare, like you said, a $50 price point for a league that gives you the payouts for first, second, and third, but also has an overall component, Ryan. So I'm going to throw it back to you. The people at Baseball HQ have graced us with their presence once again.
Yes, Baseball HQ is sponsoring the additional kind of overall prizes for the listener league. So the overall winner out of the all 10 leagues gets free registration to First Pitch Arizona. Each individual league winner, again, this is all in addition to the payouts from NFBC. For each league, winner will get a Baseball HQ full season subscription for the 2027 season. So similar prizes to what Baseball HQ offered for the leagues last season. And again, very appreciative of that. So just another kind of way to sweeten the pot for you all and get in not only the NFBC, but also get into Baseball HQ, which is always a good thing.
Always a good thing. And last but not least, speaking of Baseball HQ, we'll have a promo code for you likely next week, but we're going to
Yep.
partner up with them once again to help promote the baseball, their draft prep subscription that they have there. Basically gets you through draft season plus April, the first month of the baseball season. Everything you need, the projections, the articles, everything. Like preseason, you get my PT tomorrows and Ryan's forecasters in season, Ryan's forecasters and fabs, and my daily matchups, and much, much more. So that'll be coming your way here shortly as well.
Absolutely.
Last but not least, the draft kit, the Bubba and the Bloom draft kit, is out and about. It is loaded with goodies, rankings, articles from Ryan, myself, Ben Tidd, and Martin Sokolsky. Everybody is absolutely crushing it there. Ryan's thingies, his I had to throw that out there. His
Dude, I put this in the Discord the other day. Your Minnesota Twins preview. You're talking about like Simeon Woods Richardson's pitch mix change. I forget the exact word. I put it in the disc. I actually clipped it and put it in the thing. You called it pitch mix change thingy that shows stuff. I was just dying. It's an actual like tool where you can look at pitch mix changes throughout the season. But that was I love how you describe some of this stuff. It's on brand.
It's on brand because like I commented in the Discord. I'm like, I can't create them and I can't properly pronounce them either. Like I butcher it every time because like ADP draft tracker, that's easy.
Team tracker.
Grid, yeah, that's easy stuff. But then we get into the other aspects. But Ryan's got a ton of stuff he's always working on. He's got new stuff coming out, which is pretty cool. Which literally might be dropped by the time this show comes out. To be honest, I know it's real close. I don't want to speak for you there.
Nope,
but he's always thinking of more things, basically.
The NFBC standings predictor app. It's a web app. We'll be out by the time this show releases Thursday night, Friday morning.
Yeah, so there's a lot always going on there. Like last night, I dropped Martin sent us an article, dropped a new one there. We always got things coming that way, and it's going to continue happening all the way through draft season. So you can buy it individually for $20 to get you to 3 months, or you just become a Patreon member for $7 a month and it gets you Discord access as well, plus all the draft kit stuff. So you spend an extra $1 over 3 months, but you get the Discord, essentially, is what it all comes down to. So it's up to you to join the party and have some fun along the way. All right, a little bit of news and notes before we get into Shortstop. As of recording, we are pre-recording, so I'm just prefacing this for you guys. It seems like the Cubs they're finalizing. It seems like it should be a done deal to get Edward Cabrera from the Miami Marlins. So we just want to kind of cover the bases here on what this could mean for the fantasy landscape. Now the returns, there's rumors of Cassie and other people. We'll talk about that on Tuesday's show and keep you updated there. But Ryan, we'll start off with this. Edward Cabrera joining the Chicago Cubs rotation, a rotation that I know Boyd was great for you last year. We both have our concerns about longevity with Boyd. Kate Horton's second half was great. Can he do it again? So on and so forth down the list. Like this is a much needed boost to the rotation. What's your thoughts on Edward Cabrera? Because the last thing I'll say before handing it off, using the ADP tracker, over the last 7 days, he has a DC ADP of 193 or a 15-team ADP of 193. I think that'll rise.
I think a little bit. Yeah, probably better run support, probably a better bullpen for Cabrera if this move is finalized to go over to Chicago. I don't think it affects Cabrera's value a ton, but it probably has to be viewed as a positive. Let's see. I mean, the big thing with Cabrera is the big question for me. Chronic walk issues, got the walk rate down to 8% last year with a ball percentage that was in line with that. So will the walk rate hold for Edward Cabrera? If it does, I like the price for Cabrera. If this move happens, it would probably save ourselves from Colin Ray, who would probably get booted from the Cubs rotation. But I think the biggest ripple is actually the spot that might open in Miami, which I think should go to. Go ahead.
Real quick. Well, it's not just Colin Ray. It really hurts our chance of talking about the facade throughout the season.
Wow, you don't need to freaking talk about the facade.
We can't just overlook this.
We can ignore the facade. Javier Assad, man, that guy will not go away.
Nope. Well, they're trying to make him go away, but yes, to your point, as I cut you off, there is an impact in the Miami rotation.
Yeah, I think Robbie Snelling seems like he would be the one to step in here. There's been some talk. I know in your prospect show with Martin Sokolsky, like a month or so ago now.
Yep.
Martin, when you guys went through all the NL teams, Martin was very high on Robbie Snelling for draft and hold and for redrafts for 2026. And of course, you can see why. 136 innings last year across AA, AAA with a 23% strikeout minus walk, great number of missed bats, 51% ground ball rate. So that's the way to my heart. You miss bats, you have a good K to walk, and you keep the ball on the ground. Robbie Snelling, if he becomes the fifth starter in Miami, I think would be a great buy. I think he's a good buy right now anyway. Per the ADP tracker, Robbie Snelling's going around pick 350. That will certainly go earlier if this Edward Cabrera trade goes through, and Snelling is, we think, more assured of a spot in the rotation.
Agreed. Snelling should get a nice boost. Just Martin liked him a ton. I remember last year on my Marlins preview, I haven't got, well, I'll get to it here in a couple of weeks, but I had Chris Towers on the show, and he mentioned him because he came over from San Diego in one of their trades, and like he thought there was a chance they'd see him last year with the big club and never really got his chance. So there's a lot of optimism in South Beach about Snelling, and I get it to the things you've mentioned as well. Like there's a lot to like there, and the Discord was bumping when this became a possibility. Like it's kind of how we discussed it. Like Edward Cabrera, yeah, it's a great move for the Cubs. What about Rob Snelling? Like that was the right out the gate situation. Yeah. Like our buddy Timothy in the Discord has already joked about setting them. Like he took them earlier than the recent ADPs to jump. I think he took him late 200s, which is he agreed is a bit of a jump, but we don't know where that's going to land right now. So it's definitely something to keep in mind as we get things going here and see where it goes. But yeah, like the Rob Snelling increase. And again, we'll talk about the transitions, the prospects that go to Miami as well, like the rumors of Cassie. They want some infield help, which the Cubs have some as well. So we'll see where that goes. All right, let's get to shortstop, Ryan. This I said interesting at the top. We talked a little bit of off air about shortstop in years past. This was the mecca of fantasy. This was like, dude, loaded, depth, deeper than ever, like everything you can think of, just absolute studs across the board. Not so sure that's the case anymore, my friend.
Yeah, I think it's definitely still loaded. It's just I think a little bit more top heavy than normal. The depth for me isn't there for shortstop, and that presents an issue because you'll keep hearing that shortstop has all this talent, and it does. But just looking at the board here that we've got up for our YouTube viewers, and I'll kind of explain it here. It's the top 30 by preseason ADP over the last month right now in NFBC drafts with their projections. You've got 10 shortstops going in the first 100 picks. So having a loaded position doesn't necessarily mean you can wait on shortstop. Those are two separate things, especially given what we just talked about at second base. You have to, most leagues have the middle infield spot. A lot of teams are filling that with a shortstop. So like you do need, there's competition for these shortstops, and the pool of, I think, really good shortstops is not as deep as it has been in the past for me. And it's kind of interesting to kind of juxtapose this with the second base preview that we just did. An example of this, Otto Lopez is the 13th second baseman off the board. Otto Lopez is the 19th shortstop off the board. So that's kind of a nice example in that middle round of how many more shortstops are going than second base. For me, I think you need to get a shortstop or maybe even two by the top 15. Honestly, by Dansby Swansea, for me, is the cutoff at pick 144, shortstop 15. I think after that, things get very dicey. It was hard for, honestly, both of us when we were prepping for the show to kind of come up with multiple targets outside the top 15 at the position. So that's the point I really want to hammer home here is, yes, there are a lot of shortstops I like. However, they're all going in the top 100. And if you want to prioritize those guys, and I think you should, you need to attack shortstop early once and maybe even twice.
Yeah, it's just to echo what you're saying. It's like the top 15 go inside the top 150. We did the second base show.
Yep.
We were like, let's target 200 through 250. That's another reason why. It's like, well, you don't have time to take a second baseman early more often than not. So it kind of goes back to like the Jazz conversation. Yeah, it can be 30-30, but that batting average is tough when you look at shortstop. A lot of good batting averages and a lot of potential 25, 30 guys. So it makes things tricky to take certain positions over others. It's the beautiful thing we always talk about of building your team and seeing where it all pans out. It's just like putting the puzzle together, and this is another piece of it. If you have to take too early, it is what it is. At the same time, I agree. You prefer to have your middle infielder at shortstop. Um, I don't think you have to per se, because it kind of goes back to your Otto
Yeah.
Lopez comment about like, yeah, he's a 13 second baseman, he's a 19th shortstop. Like, if you could still get a guy that hits 250 and goes 15-15, that's a hell of a middle infielder. And maybe you're not having to do, maybe you can get another like an SP3 or something instead of taking a second shortstop. Again, it's the puzzle that you have to put together as you build it. So it definitely makes things interesting. So it didn't seem like it was too long ago that you at least had 200 picks to get your shortstops, and it's down to like the top 150 now.
Yeah, for me, it's that top 150 for sure. And I've even in a draft that I'm currently in, draft and hold, I took Bobby Witt and Zach Neto, I think first and third rounds, and that and seeing how the rest of my team builds off of that. It's the same team I took Jazz actually. I'm actually happy having those two early shortstops. I think some folks say, "Oh, you don't want to clog that middle infield spot early." I think you can do that, and there's just so much good talent at the top of the pool that you can kind of corner the market there a little bit.
Yeah, and definitely not disagreeing. I think taking two shortstops early is awesome. There's tons you can do with your roster when you do this. It's just all depends on how you want to fully do it, I guess, is the question.
Yep.
All right, let's break it down as usual. When we do this show, we'll talk the ADP 1 through 10, and then we'll give some options 11 through 20 and 21 through 30. And then we'll also talk the rookies towards the end, because that is a bugaboo on this deal for some reason. We'll get to the shortstop rookies later on. But Bobby Witt Jr. leads the way. This is a guy, he's ADP's 3 right now, Ryan. Like last year, it was, man, could you take him first? He got taken first in a couple leagues, but right now it's pretty much Ohtani Judge. That's your 1-2. That's in either order.
Yep.
And then it's between Bobby Witt, J Ram, and Juan Soto. And right now Witt's got the 3, but there's arguments to be made there. To me, Bobby Witt had a down season last year, weirdly enough, hitting 295, 23, and 38. Like, people had expectations from what we saw in 2024. Still a pretty dang good season, Ryan. So what's your thoughts on Bobby Witt, who you said you actually just took in a recent draft?
Yeah, I had him. I had the third pick, and I pretty much gladly took Bobby Witt. You mentioned the down season, quote unquote, for Bobby Witt last year, and he still finished 10th overall in the Razzball Player Rater in 5x5 leagues. I think Bobby Witt's the clear number 3. Won't spend too much time on him here. The question is, like, is it going to be a low 20s home runs total again, or is Bobby Witt going to go back up to the 31, 32 that he had in the previous 2 seasons? Probably somewhere in between. But then you couple that with just the bushels of bags, the tons of plate appearances, and the batting average. Like, that batting average, man, get like a 300 hitter and you get 700 plate appearances of it. God, that really helps. That's a really big batting average cushion. So I think Bobby Witt's the clear number 3 in drafts. I have him ahead of Soto and J Ram, and the projections that I'm using do as well.
Yeah, I can see the argument for all of them. I agree, but like J Ram, he can hit you 265, 270. Yes, the Witt average is great. Not gonna argue. Soto's the one where I think it's really interesting, because he could hit you 280 to 300 if things click. With Soto, it's like,
True.
is he going to steal again? That's the question. Do you believe he's actually stealing? And it's a very interesting conversation to be had between the two. But I'm not going to argue with anybody over any of it. Like, they're all really, really good picks. And if you want to build your team whoever you want, I don't mind any of them. But yeah, Bobby Witt, just fine. I laugh when people do think it was a down year. As Kevin Hastings mentioned on my show, he had like an 8+ WAR. That's a pretty good year when you want to really break things down, just because he didn't check all the fantasy boxes of the high ceilings everyone had going for him. Elly De La Cruz, ADP of 10, the second shortstop off the board. Elly in his age 23 season played 162 games, which was great. Hit 264. Continues to hit better than we expect average-wise. But 22 home runs and 37 steals was much lower than everyone thinks. And that's back-to-back seasons of 25 or fewer homers. So it makes you wonder, like, yeah, the guy hits it harder than almost anybody in baseball, but is this who he is home run wise? The steals being way down was kind of expected, but to what extent? You and I have never really been a Team Elly guy. I get it. I just need him in the second round, like coming at the end of the first round. There's other factors that batting average I'm taking. Plus, I'll take Lindor every day.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the ceiling for Elly De La Cruz is still the number one overall player in fantasy. I think that still remains. You look at Ellie De La Cruz's first half last season, he hit 279 with 18 homers and 22 steals. It's a 35, 45 season with a good batting average. Obviously everything fell apart in the second half for Ellie De La Cruz. He was dealing with the loss of his sister, which I'm sure affected things personally. Had kind of a lingering quad injury, only hit 4 home runs in the second half. So for me, like, while the ceiling is still there for Ellie to be the top overall player in fantasy, the floor is even a little bit lower and a little bit scarier than I thought. Like, what if Ellie De La Cruz only hits 15 home runs? And then you, on top of that, pile on a bad batting average for the first round for the price. That's a 259 projected batting average is a bad batting average that early in the draft. Then you've got some major holes that you need to fix, and you don't want to take a first rounder with holes to fix. So it's kind of the same type of deal, I think, for both of us. That's always been with Ellie is we certainly get the ceiling, certainly understand taking him. But for me, I just want to have a little bit more certainty and a little bit more. Everyone talks about being short on power last year. I think you're going to be behind the 8 ball in power and batting average if you take Ellie De La Cruz. So just keep that in mind if you take Ellie and want to build around that.
Like, honestly, if I want that kind of profile, and I get his is still higher, but I think there's a lot of similarities. I'd rather wait till the following round and take Jazz Chisholm, who we talked about on the second base show. I think there's a lot of similarities in their profiles when it comes to the batting average, power, and speed. I'd rather wait around and go take Jazz and get at least a batting average asset now, which you're going to slowly stop finding as the draft goes on.
And I think that's a really good point. And I think with Jazz, it's like, I think Jazz can get there. He just needs to stay healthy. Yep. Again, easier said than done, but like Jazz has the skills to do it. I don't know if Ellie De La Cruz has the actual batting average power skills to do it. Ellie De La Cruz has been mostly healthy.
And he's been 160 plus in 2 straight years. We just haven't seen it.
Yeah. So I agree.
All right. Gunnar Henderson is the third shortstop off the board with an ADP of 14. Gunnar Henderson last year, 17 homers, 30 steals, which is definitely a career high. A lot of steals in the second half. Hit 274, which is great. Power was massively down. He's also coming off an injury. He started the season like a week late or whatever. Pretty much played the whole season, but you have to wonder where the power actually was there. Because, like, if you look at his barrel rates and everything, it did take a hit when all things were said and done. But I'll be honest, Ryan, if he is a 20-plus steal guy consistently, like, that was my concern. He went from 10 to 21 and 23 to 24 seasons, but then he upped it to 30. The power dropped, and I could see that coming back due to the injury.
Yep.
I need to be more interested in Gunnar Henderson than I usually am.
I agree. Even though he's a youth, I need to be more interested in Gunnar Henderson as well. I think you nailed it. Like, does the power return for Gunnar is the question. It was that early oblique injury. We never know how long that stuff lingers, even after you return to the lineup. Everything else for me is in place with Gunnar Henderson. Seems like a really good batting average lock. Very successful on the base pass. 86% success on the base pass. That will keep your light green. 84% success the previous year. A runs machine in what I think should be a better Baltimore lineup. And probably the biggest thing is age 25 season. There's another level here with Gunnar Henderson. It's just interesting. I haven't taken Gunnar yet because I know we both love Francisco Lindor, who's going 4 picks later. Why not both in a 15-teamer? You could do Gunnar and Lindor. I talked about the double tap shortstop with Bobby Witt and Zach Neto. Are there any teams out there with both Gunnar and Lindor? That would be pretty fascinating. And honestly, I'd be on board with that. I'm into Gunnar at the price. This was like a borderline top 5 pick last year before the oblique injury. Now you're getting him at the end of the first round, early second round, and 12 teamers. That's the time to get in and buy here.
Yeah. That's the talk I had with Dream on the Orioles preview was because he mentioned like the power should come back. Everything they talked about was the injury, and it showed some signs of improving as the season went along. But more impressive, like you also mentioned, the green light was very green for Gunnar Henderson. Like it's a thing for him. They showed it back-to-back years now. So I said the same thing you said on that show. I said my problem is I always like Lindor, and he's like, and Dream. This is his words basically is, I don't blame you. Lindor's like basically 3 straight 30-30 seasons. Great floor.
Yep.
The ceiling for Henderson's way higher.
Yep.
That's
Agreed.
the difference between that's the difference. So it's like, where do you want to go? Like you and I usually draft for comfort. Like, but if you want to go for the gusto, Henderson probably is the play here. Like it's the brain of like, okay, we got like, at least for me, I got to change the way I think about a certain guy, and that's not always the easiest transition when Lindor's proven me just to be awesome year after year after year.
So. We draft for comfort, not only with our players but also our mental well-being. We draft for comfort.
That's how we roll. Speaking of Lindor, he's the fourth shortstop off the board at ADP of 18, so early second round there. I mentioned the 30-30s was 31-31 last year, hit 267. So it's been at least a 254 average, 31 or more home runs, 29 or more steals, basically 30 or more steals, 107 or more runs in each of the last 3 seasons, and just heck, throw in 86 or more RBIs. Like, you can't get much more consistently awesome than Francisco Lindor. The only thing is he's going to be 32. You just mentioned Gunner's 25. Ellie's, 23? Just go down the list. Lindor's one of the veterans in this group. So where do you sit on Lindor this year?
Yeah, I mean, show me a more consistent, hell, even 4-year run. I mean, 2022 for Francisco Lindor, while it wasn't 30-30, still had over a $30 season per Baseball HQ. So it's really been someone who has just been elite for 4 years in a row. At some point, age is going to catch up there. Maybe we saw some signs with the power with Lindor. I mean, if there's one yellow flag, it's that barrel rate dropping for Francisco Lindor from 14% 2 years ago down to 9% last year. But even with that 9% barrel, Frankie hit 31 home runs. So I have no problem with Francisco Lindor here. I don't really have too much to add. I just think the floor is awesome, and I agree with that Henderson comp of probably not the ceiling of Henderson, but just as strong of a floor. This is and this is just in general too. I just listened to episode 2 of the Fantasy Baseball Game Theory podcast with our buddy Mark S. FBGT for short. If you want to check it out, I highly recommend it. Mark just talked about KDS and how nice it is to have a top 20 pick in the second round, just because that second round coming back to you in the top 20 is really nice. Francisco Lindor is a perfect representation that if you can get Lindor in the second round, you pair him with an early starter or another 5 category bat, again, like even Gunnar Henderson. It's a hell of a way to start a team.
Yep, it works out more often than not pretty good. Trey Turner is the 5th shortstop off the board, ADP of 27. It wasn't too long ago he was argued to be the top pick in a draft. I talked to 2 seasons ago. Things have changed. He's going to be 33. He's older than Lindor. Did get 36 steals last year, hitting 304, which is outstanding. 15 homers in 141 games. So the power may be declining a bit, but he still showcased he can run. He'll still score a ton of runs, and he still hits for a very good average. So that keeps him in the top 2 rounds. But I don't know. There are signs that things are slowly going the other direction.
I don't know, man.
No, I still like him a lot. Don't get me
304
wrong,
with 36 steals last year. Like, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I'll wait till my turn.
No, go ahead.
Well, no, I guess the way I look at it is like the way we did with Gunnar and Lindor's going after him. When we look at Turner with Neto going after him, it's like that's where I say things are like the average is still great with Turner. He's running, but if I want a 30-30 guy, it's a few picks later.
Yeah. So with Turner, I actually the projections I'm using actually have, and I use my own playing time, but mix in some Baseball HQ with some Fangraph stuff. Trey Turner is neck and neck, if not slightly ahead of Gunnar Henderson and Francisco Lindor by the projections. Now, I would take Henderson and Lindor over Turner, but you factor in almost half round discount. I really like Trey Turner. For some reason, the back of my mind, there's always this fear for me that there's some kind of hamstring injury, and at 33, this can go south quickly. And so that's why, I think there's a smidge of risk there. But I don't know, man. Trey Turner, I mean, 3 of the last 4 years, 630 plus plate appearances. Yes, had the kind of down 2024 with, I think that was a hamstring.
Well,
but
you have this in the back of your head because September 7th last year, hamstring. Yeah. May 3rd, 2024, hamstring.
Yep.
So that's why it's in the back of your head.
So it should probably be in the front of my head.
Yeah. It's there.
It's probably
you're not imagining things.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, sometimes I don't know the difference if I'm imagining things or if they actually happen. So yeah, with Trey Turner's case, I guess it actually did happen. And so I don't know. That is one just kind of thing where I'm just like, yeah, if it happens again in 2026 at 33 years old, that's the downside with Trey Turner. But I don't know, man. Coming off a ton of plate appearances last year, batting average is elite. Similar to what I said about Bobby Witt, like you get that many plate appearances of an elite batting average, it just helps you so much. And power's there, the speed's elite. I'm fine taking Trey Turner, actually slightly ahead of Zach Neto. I think the batting average difference between Turner and Neto, for me, is pretty big, and I think washes out, if not more than neutralizes, the relative deficiency in power.
That's fair. And like I have zero problem with Turner at all. So
Yeah,
just wanted to prep, like, if I'll play devil's advocate every time I can, but
sure. Yep.
yeah, zero problem. He's literally one of your best batting average sources at the position.
Well, and what you need to do too in these early rounds is poke holes in these guys. They're all good. It's just like, which one do you feel like is less risky with your first 3 picks? So I think that's obviously something valid to bring up.
And it's the annoying thing I've already mentioned way too many times, is building the puzzle of your team. Like building the roadmap has been wrote about for the draft kit. Like, you can use this position to take you a million different directions.
Oh yeah. Yes.
That's kind of why I mentioned the differences between, like, the pockets here of, like, different guys. Is if you take Turner instead of Neto, now your next few picks are way different probably.
Yep.
So it changes everything as you go about this. I recommend reading that article, everybody. Zach Neto is your 6th shortstop off the board, ADP 32. Zach Neto, started the season late because of the shoulder injury from 2024. Still finished with 26 home runs and 26 steals after going 23-30 in the previous season. Increased his batting average to 257. Going to be 25, another one of the youngins, Ryan, that you love for some reason, even though he's young. I love Zach Neto. I don't have a lot to add.
No, I don't really either. I mean, just know you're probably going to have to make up batting average a little bit, but I think Zach Neto entering his prime 30-30 guy, like, is there much of a difference between Neto and Francisco Lindor? Other than Francisco Lindor's done it 4 years in a row, of course. But that is a big difference. And that's, to me, probably worth a round in drafts. I don't see why Zach Neto can't keep going on his current pace. Like, massive power uptick in 2025. Yeah, he struck out a little bit more often to get there, but more line drives, more power. I think that's a sacrifice you make. Are you worried at all about injuries with Neto? I mean, it's been it was the shoulder, it was a hand injury at the end of last season, kind of a lot of, I don't know, fluky ticky-tack stuff. So I don't know.
It's hard playing stuff, so it is kind of concerning.
Exactly.
He gets hurt by the hard playing situation, so that might need to get reined in a bit. My difference is more so is the team contacts with Neto. It's always concerning. Like, now there's no Taylor Ward to hit behind him. Like, how are the Angels putting their lineup together? I still, again, love Neto, but if you're going to compare to like a Lindor and whatnot, team context is massively different between the two in that scenario.
I mean, Trey Turner's hitting in front of Bryce Harper and Schwarber. Like,
exactly. So
Neto's not.
That changes things a lot, in my opinion. Like, Neto's still a beast, but we know Trout's a shell of himself. Like, that roster's rough in Anaheim. Sorry, Scotty Burks, but that's a rough lineup. If you look up and down it, then Neto basically has to do a lot of the heavy lifting on his own right now. All right, the 7th shortstop off the board is CJ Abrams, ADP at 55, and just early in draft season, it feels like he's kind of one of the forgotten guys at this position. Doesn't get in as much as the talk, even though he went 19 homers, 31 steals last year, 20, 31, 18, 47. Those are 3 straight seasons, and he upped his average to 257. And as far as we're aware, he stayed out of casinos late nights in Wrigleyville. So a big upgrade in 2025. Where are you at on CJ Abrams?
Yeah, I mean, a pretty bad second half, but you're kind of splitting hairs there when you're looking at someone who I think at this point, even though CJ Abrams is just entering his age 25 season, I think we know who he is. He's established that. So I'm not too concerned about kind of half season swings. Second half last year, CJ Abrams only hit 228 with 7 homers and 14 steals, but still had 14 bags. So I just think this is a uber stable. Like, I love having someone who's done it multiple times, but is still young enough where there's another level. Like, that's, to me, that's the perfect storm. especially when you're picking this early. And CJ Abrams is at a major discount compared to Turner and Neto. I mean, there's a 25 pick difference between those two. So I just think you're getting a 20-30 guy with a good enough batting average and potentially room for more, as CJ Abrams is not even in his prime yet. So I am all over CJ Abrams. I kind of sound like a broken record. Like, I like all these shortstops early, maybe except for Ellie. But this is why I'm prioritizing getting one or even two of these guys, because I think they're all really good.
Yeah, I love CJ Abrams at this price. Like I said, he feels like the forgotten man. If for some reason you didn't go early at shortstop, you can still get a pretty dang good one right here. And kind of mentioned at second base, I want speed. I want speed at shortstop. Like, you look at this chart alone, the top 7 picks are all projected for 20 or more. Most are 25 or more, and that's a big difference. Like if you wait at this position and now you're stuck with a guy getting you 10 or fewer steals, like, your league mates have a big advantage on you right now. Like,
Mhm.
because finding them elsewhere is tricky. So that there's another reason to go and get an early shortstop or two, to Ryan's point. Um, yeah, so I like CJ a lot. Like, I know the average will never be elite. He's not going to probably have the power that Zach Neto has, but he's got more speed than Zach Neto has. Like, they're to me, they're closer than I think people give them credit for. Like you said, they're
Yes.
23 picks apart. Like, he's CJ Abrams is very good, and honestly, I think I like the Nats team context better than the Angels team context, if we really want to get crazy about it. So yeah, CJ Abrams, love him at pick 55.
And love him a lot more than, I think there's a big drop off after this. Love CJ Abrams a lot more than these next couple of
Yeah,
guys we're going to talk
it
about.
does drop off quite a bit, especially for a guy that used to be a top 5 pick.
Oof.
Mookie Betts,
Oh,
ADP is 62. Man, Mookie. Mookie Betts, a guy that had a viral intestinal whatever disease, bacterial disease, start the season. 20 home runs, 8 steals, hit 258. So the average plummeted. Only 8 steals, which he's been in double digits, at least 10 or more every year since 2015. Power, okay. Just as a whole, we've seen regression coming the last few years between injuries and whatnot. Some people still love him. Could he produce again in that lineup? Always. I'll continue to be out on Mookie Betts, even though he's a lot cheaper than he used to be.
yeah, this hurts, man. Mookie's been, as you know, a source of contention between us
Yep.
previous couple years. Mookie's been a fixture on many Heisman House Bloom squads in the past. I don't know if it's going to happen in 2026. I mean, the biggest question is, like, how much do you think losing 20 pounds and the illness or whatever right before the season, how much did that impact Mookie Betts? I remember at First Pitch Arizona, Eno did a kind of a bat speed presentation and used Mookie as an example. Like, the bat speed really did come back the last 2 months. So I think there is a case to be made that the power could rebound with a fully healthy Mookie Betts. I think my counter to that is the power wasn't there in 2024 either. Like, the power dropped a ton last year, or sorry, in 2024. I got to get used to saying 2024 was 2 years ago. That was pre-illness, and so, like, I think there's a chance Mookie Betts doesn't go back to hitting over 20 home runs again. You then factor in like 8 steals last year. You barely ran with LA. Why would you run in that lineup when you've got all these studs batting right after you? So yeah, I just think, like, while there's a chance Mookie Betts, if the power comes back, the team context is really good, the plate appearances will be there if Betts can stay healthy. I just think this is someone who I think I want to get out on before the slide really continues. And again, it pains me to say that. But yeah, I actually have Mookie, like, Jeremy Pena is actually rated higher on my sheet right now than Mookie Betts is. That
It's good to hear.
projections. So
Because Jeremy Pena is a beast. But yes.
yeah,
Uh,
little
I, I,
much, but
I will throw this
maybe.
love to Mookie Betts to the surprise of many. First off,
Whoa.
2024, he did have the broken wrist, so that could affect power. Um, but what I will say to Eno's, bat speed coming back, in August and September, he hit 288 and 299, and he had 9 home runs
Yep.
over 61 games. He hit 279 over his final 61 games with 9 home runs. That's a big improvement from 11 home runs hitting 244 in the first 89. So there was definitely improvements to the point you guys are both making there. He only had 2 steals in the second half, though, compared to 6 in the first half. So when he was weak, he was running more, if that makes any sense at all. But I could see a world where the power comes back. Will I be drafting Mookie Betts? Highly unlikely. But just wanted to give a little love to the add on to what you were talking about. That there were some actual pretty good improvements in the second or the final couple months of the season.
Yeah, good point.
All right, the ninth shortstop off the board, Geraldo Perdomo, which is wild to think about this time last year, but he's earned it, I guess. ADP's 85, 20 home runs, 27 steals last year, both out of nowhere. Hit 290, kind of out of nowhere as well. He's going to be 26. I know he made changes to his hits. I'm stubborn and need to see it again.
I'm the same way, to the surprise of nobody. I'm stubborn and I need to see it again, especially at the price at 85. So, like, yeah, you can make the argument Perdomo finished 20th last year on the Razzball Player Rater, and you're getting that player at 85. I think that's I don't know, it's a simplistic argument. No one expects Geraldo Perdomo to repeat what he did in 2025. But even baking in some regression, there's a case to be made at 85. I just think, I don't know. Maybe it's just a gut feeling, and sometimes I trust the gut, as some say. I don't want to buy in coming off such an outlier breakout season, especially when, like, I don't know, like, the strikeout rate's been going down for Perdomo nicely, but, like, there's just not much power there. It's like a 6% barrel rate last year. I don't know if all that sticks. I don't see. I mean, stolen bases, like, and these are pretty much, well, partial seasons, but 9 steals 3 years ago, then 16, then 9, then 27. It's like, give me that number back down to maybe 20. The projection, I think, for Perdomo that we're looking at on the screen, right, which combines the Bat X and Fangraphs depth charts, 260, 14 home runs and 20 steals. That seems about right to me. And to me, that's not worth a top 100 pick.
Yeah, now with so many different guys going after him that I could see doing that or better. So
right,
very tough to do. It's, to me, he's like he's the shortstop version of Bryce Terang. Like, do we buy it? Do we buy the adjustments that took place? I don't think either one of us are buying either one of them this season at their price tags. Jeremy Pena is the 10th shortstop off the board with an ADP of 95. Jeremy Pena continues to be that steady Eddie at the position. 15 or more home runs in 3 or 4 seasons, 20 steals in back-to-back seasons, hit 304. Now, I'll beat you to it. Average is usually not this high, so that was great. But I think the power and speed is rather legit when it comes to Pena. You said you have him ranked higher than Mookie Betts. So what's your thoughts on Jeremy Pena?
Yeah, I wouldn't quite go beast as you described Jeremy Pena. Not quite there with you, but I think this is someone who, if you want to wait a little bit at shortstop, I like him better than Perdomo. Said the projections have Pena over Betts. If I'm in the draft room and I have to decide between the two, maybe I'll probably still go Betts, but realistically, you're not doing that. Jeremy Pena is 30 picks cheaper, 35 picks cheaper than Mookie Betts. So I'm fine with Jeremy Pena at the price. I don't think there's much of a ceiling here. I don't think there's much of a step up from a cap of 20 homers and a cap of 20 steals, but you get a 20-20 guy with good batting average and what typically is a ton of plate appearances in what should be a good Houston lineup. I think that's a fine shortstop pick at 95. I think the price is right here.
And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, he feels like one of those pretty good floor plays where he's going to help you in all of the categories. And so, like, he's not going to elevate you in all the categories, but he's going to help you in all the categories. And that counts for something, especially the farther down this board we get, and things get a little more volatile the farther we go. Like, there's still a group we like here, but inside, like, after Pena, the next 5 guys that we all said we consider some in that group, there's a lot of inconsistencies.
Yeah, there's some holes. Well. Yeah, I'm not as thrilled as this next group of 5. That's
okay. So Pena at least gives you that kind of last barrier where you're like, okay, I know what I'm getting here, barring health. So I'm good.
Agreed.
All right, 11 through 20. We'll each give a couple options here. Corey Seager, Trevor Story, Bo Bichette, Willie Adames, Dansby Swanson, Jacob Wilson, Xavier Edwards, Ezekiel Tovar, Otto Lopez, and Xander Bogaerts. Ryan, we'll start with you. Who's your first one to discuss?
You took mine, so we'll leave that to when you're up. And honestly, after you took after you picked first, I was going to say you took my guy, but he's your guy. It's Willie Adames. I went with Dansby Swanson, but honestly, like, I just think Dansby Swanson's fine at the pick. And this is more a reflection of what we talked about at the top of the show of just like, this is kind of the last shortstop where I think you can take and feel good about because I think it drops off pretty bigly after this at a 144 ADP. So I just think where Dansby Swanson is being taken, the cliff after him, I just think if you haven't taken your shortstop here at this point, you need to get Dansby Swanson. And I think Dansby Swanson's the ultimate like Bloomfield type of pick, right? You know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get a ton of playing time, rock solid floor, ceiling's not there. That's why he's going late. But Dansby Swanson's fine in 4 categories and really won't hurt you too bad in batting average. So I'll go Dansby, but I wanted to take Willie Adames.
Well, it's funny because I took Slick Willie so you could take Dansby because that's always been your guy. So I left him for you.
Why don't we just pick the actual guys we like?
Yeah, I left him for you. I thought I was being nice.
What are we doing?
I like Willie too. Like, so I didn't mind discussing Willie Adames because he is a giant. And yeah, it was rough hitting 225 last season in his debut, but we got 30 home runs, which doesn't happen in San Francisco very often. 12 stolen bases, so he wasn't the 21 steal guy, but that was still 12, which prior to the 21 steal season, it was never double digits. And that was the big question entering the season is, will he run? And he ran. Like, you'd hope for more. And maybe with Lavolo or whatever the new guy's name is from Tennessee, they'll run even more, hopefully, with being youth movements there. Time will tell on that one. But what I love to see, even though the average was down, like the quality of contact was still very, very good. 12.6% barrel rate, 43% hard hit. Like, that didn't change at all for Willie Adames. He's going to be 30 years old. He's going to be out there every single day. The BABIP was down to 263. Maybe he gets a little boost there. We get back to like a 240 hitter. Time will tell. Maybe he's just always a bad batting average guy. That's very possible. But I am pretty confident you're getting 25 to 30 home runs. And you toss in double-digit steals there. There's not a lot of that coming up here as the draft goes along. That's one of your last place you can plant a flag with that kind of the power speed situation. So I like Willie Adames quite a bit. I think and it was the first year of contract. He looked really bad early, got going better as the season went along. Still finished kind of rough, but you could tell it felt like he was getting more comfortable with the team. So I like Slick Willie.
I mean, the only other thing I'll add with Willie Adames is, I mean, just the volume with him. It's just really nice. So even though Adames hit 225 last year, it was 94 runs and 87 RBI. Like that's pretty damn sweet. Like Willie Adames for me on my sheet here is the number 54 hitter by projections and the number 82 hitter by ADP. Like, that's a 30 spot increase in terms of projected value versus market value. And I will be in on that every single time.
Beautiful. All right. Now things get rough. Who's your second option here?
Yeah. I thought about going back to like Bo Bichette or Trevor Story, but I just have concerns at the new price for those guys. So, when in doubt, just go back to old Xander Bogaerts.
Boring, old, beautiful Xander Bogaerts.
Like, drafting Xander Bogaerts is like staring at a wall and just watching paint dry. It's stuff I like to do, but a lot of people don't. I don't know. At a price of 222, I think this is like your perfect. It's maybe more of a draft and hold type play. This is the guy you want in middle infield, and it's just going to play every single day, get you mid-teens homers, 20 bags, good batting average. Like, just the results are there. We can all complain about like how we want Xander Bogaerts to be this version of him that really has never existed as an elite prospect. I think Xander Bogaerts at this price is just kind of a built-in profit, not the highest ceiling again, but at 222 with just not many good options around Xander Bogaerts. This is a really, like, Jose Caballero has the same ADP as Xander Bogaerts.
That's so stupid.
Like, Caballero has a job for maybe a month and then he's a utility guy. Like, I just don't, maybe in fab leagues, but in draft and hold season right now, I can't get there. Like, give me the pretty much guaranteed playing time with Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's boring. It's beautiful. It's what you get here from Xander. I didn't want to reuse guys I talked about at second base, but we're going here because to your Bichette Story things, like, I have too many questions for those increased prices. Like, I love Trevor Story last year. Not sure I can pay 111 for him this year.
Right.
So I'm going to go back to the bus driver, Otto Lopez at 216, and just kind of really quick. He hit nearly 250, 15, 15 last year. We said if he does that, that's great. You know what that sounds like? That's a poor man's Jeremy Pena going 120 picks later. Like, that's who that is. He might not get the counting stats, like the runs scored because of the team. But if you're not going to average homers, steals, that's a poor man's Jeremy Pena when you're getting after it. Again, I like Jeremy Pena more, but we're talking 120 picks. So at middle infield, Otto Lopez can fit the mold, and I'd go back to that well again.
It's interesting. The Jeremy Pena comp. Of course, I'll bring this back to Bogarts. It's almost the same projection.
Yep, almost the same as Bogarts. Yep.
Yeah, going 100 picks later, but that's more for me. That's more of a bonus to take. That's not shade on Pena. That's more good on Bogarts and Otto Lopez at 216 and 222.
Agreed. 21 through 30 of the previously mentioned Jose Caballero, Colson Montgomery, Hudson Kim, Mason Wynn. Can't wait for this one. Carlos Correa, JJ Weatherholt, Ernie Clement, Brooks Lee, Chase Mydroth, Anthony Volpe. We're missing a couple rookies. We'll discuss in a minute. So who are you targeting in this range?
All right. We'll shock the world, man.
Yep, can't wait to hear this.
I don't even know if I'm targeting him, honestly, but he's just better than the suck that's all around him.
I bet he's on 0 of your teams by the time draft season's over.
I've already drafted him.
Oh, really?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's outstanding.
Discord gave me crap because, I think I said I had a bunch of beverages beforehand. Pretty sure I've got a Mason Wynn. Yes, I do have a Mason Wynn. I've already drafted Mason Wynn in a league. So Mason Wynn is my pick. I just think, obviously my Mason Wynn hate from last year was turned out to be correct. I just thought the price was crazy. I think this is the same guy. I think you write off 2025 because pretty much played on a banged up knee for most, if not all, of the season. And so now you're getting the same guy that was 177 ADP. Now you're getting him at like 270. I just think in general, when it's someone, Mason Wynn's only 24 years old, this is the time I'm going to buy as opposed to last year. Like last year, Mason Wynn hadn't shown really much at all in the majors and was a top 200 pick. I never understood that. Now I get it. Like now I'm back in because the market's off of Mason Wynn. You're getting him at almost, I keep making up the ADP, almost 300. 263 is the ADP for Mason Wynn. Why is this not the same player as it was last year? Now you're getting him at a steep discount. Someone who's going to play every day, presumably will be healthy with the knee all fixed up. I think Mason Wynn's actually a decent buy. I can't believe I'm saying this a year later, but I was out last year and I'm kind of in. I'm not all in this year, but I'm fine with Mason Wynn right now.
This is just great to hear. It's great to hear that you can look back on things and realize this guy might actually be pretty good. So that's great to hear.
Could be. I'm not, I was probably a little too positive there, but yeah, man, I don't know. It's important to honestly look at this stuff with a fresh eye every year. Every year's different. It's important 100%. To do that. Don't hold your grudges over multiple seasons.
That is very, very true. With that being said, I'm going to go Hassan Kim, ADP of 254. Yeah. Obviously, injuries derailed a ton of last season. He was already starting the year behind schedule because of a shoulder injury, but then he kind of had hamstring injuries and other factors. In 48 games, hit 234, 5 homers, 6 steals. This is the guy that in the past we've seen a ton of speed, 20-plus stolen bases before. We've seen 17 homers in 2023, a lot of pull power with Hassan Kim. I just love him going to Atlanta. He actually played pretty well with the Braves last year. Once he got his run, like in September and October, it was basically his only full month of the season with 24 games. He hit 253 with 3 homers. Didn't steal a bag with him, surprisingly, but 253, 3 homers in that 1 month. Like that showed me he's getting healthy. He's doing things in that lineup. To be back in that lineup this year. Like if you look at projections, 243, 15, and 23, that's just slightly off of Geraldo Perdomo, which is going way before him in drafts. Like, obviously, it's similar to guys going around him too, but this is a guy that can pop off and go 15, 25 pretty easily, I think, in a full season if all things work out. And depending how, the Braves offense will finally be better conversation and where he hits, there could be a lot of counting stats for Kim. So at 254, if you're looking for a late shortstop, middle infield option or something, I think that's a very strong way to go.
Not to sound too complimentary, but you got in this sheet before I did again, and I was going to take Ha-Seong Kim. He's my favorite outside the top 20.
I would say, to be fair, he's the only one I actually like in this entire
I know.
range.
So, I mean, this goes back to why. And so, like, my last quote unquote target here is Anthony Volpe at ADP 336. I don't even know if I like Anthony Volpe that much, especially in fab leagues. Like, that's a tough stash. You're drafting someone who's hurt. And yeah, it can work out like with Zach Neto last year, but there's a ton of times where there are snags in the rehab and you're wasting a roster spot, especially in non-IL leagues, on someone who is actively hurt. You don't want to do that too often. So, like, technically Anthony Volpe's my pick here on ADP of 336. I like that value, assuming Volpe only misses a few weeks, maybe the first month of the season. I think that's really good. But yeah, man, outside of that, like, don't like Caballero, don't like Colson Montgomery. I like Kim. Mason Wynn's fine. Correa's fine. Weatherholt, will he even be up? We all know what I think about EC Light, not Big Ernie, EC Light, Ernie Clement,
Big
Brooks
Ern.
Lee. I don't know. My drop, I don't know. Like, it's just, it's tough. And this is why, again, we want to kind of hammer that home to prioritize shortstop, because it gets ugly, man.
Yeah, just to echo what Ryan said, I went with a conglomerate of Brooks Lee, Chase Mydroth, who I talked about at second base, or Anthony Volpe. Like, if I had to, it's going to be one of those three, but I'd rather none of them, to Ryan's point. I think Volpe can still be very good if he doesn't miss a ton of time, but that's still way up in the air. Like, I think he could be like a Zach Neto type minus the batting average if he only missed like a month, but there's a lot of what ifs in that scenario. So, yeah, I'd prefer not to be here, to Ryan's point. Like, try to get this done early if you can. Like we said earlier, like, pick 150. Okay, if you go to Bogarts and Otto Lopez, you can live with it, but try not to at the same time if you're going through there. Let's talk about those prospects real quick, Ryan. You got JJ Weatherholt from St. Louis has an ADP of 283. We have Connor Griffin of Pittsburgh, who's been a very popular name. He's got an ADP of, where the heck did he go?
193, I think, on the tracker.
Maybe I spelled it wrong. 193, as Ryan said. And then
I can't find him either. The hell?
Yeah, I don't have him on my thing. That's what I was trying to figure out.
I saw him earlier. I think it was around 193.
Okay, 193. And then we got McConaughey, who has I can't find it. I can't spell.
281. 90 picks later.
Thank you. So they all would have been on this board, is what I'm trying to say. But two things. Doesn't matter if they're not on this board, because Ryan and I aren't taking them anyways. Second, they've been a popular point of conversation. So it's almost better to have them by themselves here to discuss.
Yeah.
I'll give my 2 cents from having prospect guys on my show, Ryan. Most of them think Weatherholt actually has a great chance to start the season with the Cardinals, which ups his fantasy appeal.
Right.
McConaughey, the Tigers have flat out said he's not coming up till at least midseason, and it seems like they're pretty adamant on that. They really don't need to bring him up. Like, I could see them waiting and keeping him rookie eligible to try to get a draft pick the following year. That just makes sense, weirdly enough. Connor Griffin's the wild card. He's going to be up at some point, but when is it? Does he get the Schemes treatment, or does he get the Bubba Chandler treatment? That's the big question there. So he's a big wild card. I'm just staying out of all of it because I don't know how that's all going to portray. I don't know how the first year in the bigs will work for these guys. I'm not spending those ADPs is what it comes down to, because, like, Connor Griffin, you're taking him ahead of Otto Lopez and Bogart, so you already know what you're getting with them. You have no idea with Connor Griffin. So I'll leave it there. What are your thoughts on the rookie threesome?
Yeah, I if any, I would take a shot at Weatherholt, just because it seems like he has the best chance, and he's the cheapest, best chance at playing time. For me, playing time, the path to playing time is just as important as the prospect pedigree, because we can pretend we think we know what these guys are going to do. We have no idea how these guys are going to adjust to the major leagues. So give me the guy who's at least going to get a shot to do it, or at least as of January 7th, January 8th, when this comes out or whatever, what we think is going to happen in terms of playing time. So to the surprise of no one, I'm out on Connor Griffin at the price. I like you said, I'd rather just Otto or Xander Bogaerts. I'm definitely out on McGonigal. Like, well, why would you take somebody who's going to be out half the season with that type of pick? And I would just take Weatherholt, but in reality, I'm not taking any of them.
Yeah, I'll give the other plus for Weatherholt is there's a good chance he plays third base if
Yeah.
Arenado gets traded. So you'll get second, you
Yep.
get shortstop and third with him. So
Yep. And so
third
actually,
option.
I could see myself taking Weatherholt at 280. I could see
Yeah.
that.
I've been very close to taking him in earlier drafts. I still haven't, but I have not been close with the other two at all.
Yep.
All right, let's get some listener Discord questions real quick here before we wrap this up. There we go. Callan says, with shortstop much deeper than second base, who was the last shortstop you were comfortable with as your starter? Not as your middle infielder, Ryan, as your starter.
As my starter, so ideally it would be CJ Abrams. Ideally I want to make a top 50 pick and grab one of these top shortstops who I think are elite. We don't live in an ideal world, so if I had to do a plan B, that the last I'd be comfortable with as a starter is probably Willy Adames at 134, maybe Dansby at 144, but that's it.
Yeah, it's CJ Abrams for me. Like you said, if I had to, I'd prefer not to have to go lower than Jeremy Pena for my starter. Like
Okay. Gotcha.
That's what I want there. I want that stability and upside at pretty much all 4 to 5 categories on that one. All righty, here we have. Why did it change on me? There we go. Jeff A says, interesting looking at Neto versus Story's projections and ADP. If you're looking at the two, we got Zach Neto is 251, 28, 28. Story's 249, 24, 24. So very, very close. That is true. But almost 80 point difference in ADP. It's got him thinking, do you ever assign a confidence metric to the projections? Maybe that is essentially what this is. The confidence metric is the masses and Story hitting the numbers versus Neto.
Yeah, so it's a really good question. How I kind of do that, I don't have like a confidence metric to the projection, but what I do is I just knock down the playing time. So like I've got Trevor Story, probably 50 plate appearances fewer than Zach Neto, just because Story's older, hasn't been able to stay healthy at all outside of last season. And so I'm just not confident that Trevor Story can stay healthy again at the price. So that's how I factor in that quote unquote confidence in the projection, is for these injury marred guys. Even though they're maybe healthy right now and have a job, I'm going to knock down their projected plate appearances to kind of account for the injury risk that I perceive them to have. Trevor Story could certainly stay healthy again, and if he does stay healthy again, he's a fine pick at 111. To me, it seems like the odds of that at Story's age and with his history is low.
Yeah, the difference in ADP is 1,000 to me. I would say 1,000% due to can he stay healthy. To your point, that's all this is, because he was I might be speaking out of school, but it feels like he was a top 5 shortstop last year. Then he played a full season, so we know how good he could be, but he just hasn't done that. That's
Story was Story was the number 5 shortstop last year, according to Razzball.
So he is that good if he can stay on the field. That's always been a big if. Aaron Gifts says, remember how I asked you guys to remind me not to draft Corey Seager this year? Now is that time. Is there anyone being drafted behind him you like more than him? Bichette, perhaps. 107 does look tasty, though, because Seager's ADP is 107. We both said Adames and Swanson. So,
and my favorite chat of the Discord is that ADP 107 looks tasty for Corey Seager. Martin Sikulski follows that up. So does a gas station hot dog, but you don't have to indulge. That is epic. Comping Corey Seager to a gas station hot dog. So yes, Aaron, for the probably 6th year in a row, I know we haven't even done the show for 6 years, we are recommending that you do not draft Kyle Seager. And in terms of who behind Kyle Seager I'd rather have, almost everybody. I'd rather have Trevor Story. I'd rather have Bo Bichette. I'd rather have Adames. I'd rather have Dansby Swanson. I think Jacob Wilson is maybe where I draw the line. I'm going out on a limb here and saying I'd rather have Corey Seager than Jacob Wilson, who's going at a pick 173 to Seager's 107. Corey Seager will not be on any of my teams, and I'm sure not any of yours either.
He will definitely not be on any of mine. That is 100% correct. Sean Shard says, what are the chances that Mason Wynn's intention of 30-plus bags is just a year delayed?
Oh, man. Very low. Very low. Mason Wynn, the last 2 seasons, stolen base success rate 69 and 64%. That is pretty bad. League average and kind of the break-even point is like 75%. So I just don't see, unless Mason Wynn magically learns how to steal bases better, and maybe he does. Maybe he gets the right base running coach or whatever, and it starts to click because he does have the raw speed. I I will need to believe Mason Wynn stealing 30 bases when I see it.
Mike Carter just has a comment. Colson, I need better. At least the power looks like it will still register. Yep. Power's there. Everything else, who knows? Kevin A says Zach Neto's contact percentage and eye fell noticeably this last year while setting his highest batting average to date. Is this sustainable? It seems that the stolen bases might be at risk most if this continues. Do you have any concerns?
No, not really. So I kind of hinted at this when we talked about Neto, but yes, the strikeouts went up for Neto, but it was neutralized with harder contact and better batted ball trajectory. Many more line drives last year for Zach Neto. So that pretty much comes out as a wash. With Baseball HQ, we have an expected batting average metric, 256 2 years ago, and then 253 last year. So same exact expected batting average for Zach Neto. It just came out as fewer contact, but harder contact and more line drives. So I'm not too worried about that for Zach Neto.
Dustin Anderson says, how good of a start do you think Caballero needs to keep his job once Volpe returns, and how likely is that? I think he's got to be Geraldo Perdomo from last season to have a chance to keep that job.
Yeah, and I think it's very unlikely. Now the case with Jose Caballero is he does play everywhere, and who knows? By the time we're a month into the season, someone else on the Yankees is probably hurt, and Caballero can fill in, and he can patch together full playing time. But I don't know, at a price of 222, like you're banking on that to happen, and he's just so deficient in batting average and homers that, like, I don't know, just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, he's pieced together stolen bases the last few years. That's like all he pieces together. That's what makes it pretty tricky to sustain.
Yeah.
SMMS7 Mark says Colson Montgomery is a few years removed from being a highly regarded prospect, and this will be his age 24 season. Do we think there is another level here?
You can field this.
I think the power is very, very good. I think the swing and miss and the poor batting average is very, very real. So could there be another level? Sure. Is there going to be? I'm not drafting for it this season.
I doubt it too. And I even doubt that I don't doubt. I question if the power is truly real. Like in 2025, the power did support what Colson Montgomery did. The power was not there in the minors for Colson Montgomery. I think there's a real chance the power falls back from what we saw in 2025. Like that could very much be an outlier. So again, to the surprise of no one, I'm not doing Colson Montgomery. I still just can't believe what happened last year with Colson Montgomery.
Yeah, it was great for Fab, not for my draft room.
Yeah.
So that's how that goes.
Agreed.
Matt says, do we think Tovar bounces back and was he held back with injury last year? The contact rate is scary, but barrel and power look promising, 10 plus steals. I find it hard for him to be as bad as he was last year. I'll say that much.
Yeah, agreed. I think I think Tovar has won the best shape of his life. Reports are circulating. I think he's lost like 20 pounds or whatever. Probably means nothing, but yeah, there's a case to be made for Tovar at an ADP of 194. Someone coming off a down year, but someone young enough to potentially go back to 2024, which is 26 homers, 6 steals, 269. He has done that before. I don't think Ezequiel Tovar is that good. I don't think he'll get back to 2024. I didn't believe what we saw from him in 2024. But yeah, I think there's modest bounce back potential for Tovar. Just don't expect 2024. And you kind of don't have to at a 194 ADP. Like that's, I don't know. It seems like a reasonable pick to me. It's not one I'm targeting, but I think I could live with that around 200.
Agreed. And then Adam W says Bo or Mason Wynn. Bo Bichette or Mason Wynn. Okay, apologies. I was on the wrong side of that one too. But any hope for Mason Wynn? I'm asking 10 minutes too late since I just picked Edman over Wynn as a late MI.
So I agree with the Edman over Wynn as a middle infielder. And I talked about Mason Wynn earlier as I'd say quasi target of mine at pick 263, just because he's getting dinged for playing hurt last year. And if he's healthy, he could be okay at the price.
All righty. With that being said, that is the end of our questions. Final thoughts on the shortstop position before we wrap this one up.
No, not much. And even after talking through it all with you, I really like, after pick 200, I like a lot more second baseman than I do shortstops. So that's going to factor into my draft strategy for sure.
Yep. It's get your shortstops early, get your second basemen later, fill your middle infield that way. Figure it out. Like not your middle infield position, probably want a shortstop, but you know what I'm trying to say. Those two positions, that's how we might approach this come draft time when it really rubber meets the road. All right, we'll wrap it up there. We'll be back to you guys next Tuesday evening with the third base position as we continue previewing position by position to get you ready for the 2026 fantasy baseball season. Remember, sign up for the listener leagues. If you are a Patreon member and have left a review, let's fill those things up here as they almost are full. So get them in quickly. We'll get you going there. And yeah, hope you guys have a great week. And make sure you follow Ryan on Twitter at RyanBHQ, the podcast at Bubba Bloom Pod, on Patreon at patreon.com/Bubba Bloom. I'm at BD Entrick, and this was Bubba and the Bloom, episode 308. Catch you all next time.